looking for soul opens a new unexplored door. Tune in and soar with us, let's flow. Discover the unknown, see where we go.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you have access to, well, an incredibly dense, publicly available document, let's call it a phone book. And you need to quickly understand its connections to another piece of public info, like, say, flight logs. That's precisely the mission of our deep dive today for you, our curious listener. We're focusing specifically on cross-referencing names from a document often called the Epstein Phonebook, technically blackbook-unredacted.pdf, and comparing those names with known passengers of Jeffrey Epstein's private jet, the one often referred to as the Lolita Express.
Yeah, it's actually a fascinating task when you lay it out like that. The job presented to us was really clear. Systematically go through that uploaded blackbook-unredacted.pdff and then compare the names inside against the publicly known flight logs of the Lolita Express. But, and this is really important right from the start, we need some context. Crucial disclaimers, actually. Just because someone's name is in that black book, it absolutely does not imply guilt. It doesn't even mean they flew on the plane. Also, the black book and the flight logs, they're totally distinct sources. Some names pop up in both, sure, but others are only in one. And, like with any kind of data matching, especially just names, there's always a small possibility of error. Without exact IDs, it's not foolproof.
Right, so David Koch might not be the David Koch, for example.
Exactly. Name matching has limitations.
So what does this mean for you listening? We're taking this really complex, very public data, and we're distilling it down into clear, actionable insights. Essentially offering you a shortcut to being well-informed on this very specific, highly scrutinized intersection of information. Okay, then, here's where it gets really interesting. How exactly do you do that? How do you compare a massive phone book against, well, potentially thousands of flight log entries?
Yeah, it's definitely not a simple find and replace job. The process involved a really thorough review of that unredacted Epstein Black Book file you mentioned. Then that was systematically compared against the publicly known passengers from Epstein's flight logs. And those logs, well, they came from various places. Court documents were a big source, but also a lot of media investigations. Think outlets like Gawker, Vanity Fair, the New York Times, Daily Mail. They did extensive work. So the flight log compilation itself is kind of a patchwork from those court cases and journalistic leaks.
Okay, so you're pulling from multiple verified public sources for the flight log side.
Precisely. It gives a broader, though still potentially incomplete, picture of who was recorded on those flights.
Got it. So you asked for the names appearing in both sources, the Black Book and the known Lolita Express flight logs, and our deep dive delivered exactly that list.
That's right. Based on that cross-referencing, here are the individuals who appear in both the uploaded Black Book PDF and on those known Lolita Express flight logs. I'll give the context noted in the sources too. First, Bill Clinton. His name appears in both the flight logs and the Black Book. Then Kevin Spacey. He was noted as being on that Africa trip with Clinton. He's in both sources. Chris Tucker also flew on that Africa trip, listed in both. Alan Dershowitz, his name is listed in the logs in the Black Book. Naomi Campbell, she appears in the logs in the Black Book as well. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, appears in both. Glenn Dubin and Eva Dubin, noted as frequent associates, listed in logs and the Black Book. Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously a central figure. She appears throughout both sets of documents. Jean-Luc Brunel, the modeling agent. He appears in the logs in the Black Book, Prince Andrew. He was widely reported in the logs. And yes, he also appears in the Black Book, Courtney Love. Appears in both the logs and the Black Book. Larry Summers, the former Harvard president. He's listed in the logs in the Black Book. Ehud Barak, former Israeli PM, down in both sources. Les Wexner, known as a financial backer of Epstein. He appears in both. Doug Band, a longtime Clinton aide, appears in both as well. Ron Burkle, the billionaire, he flew several times, according to logs, and is in the Black Book. And finally, Thomas Pritzker, the Hyatt Hotels heir, his name appears in the logs and the Black Book.
Wow. That's quite the list, spanning a lot of different fields. So just to reiterate for you, our listener, this is the precise cross-referenced list you were seeking.
Yeah.
Individuals documented in Epstein's Black Book who are also publicly known through those court docs and media reports to be on his flight logs.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, I mean, it's really a testament to the complex web of information that's out there in the public domain. But it's also a stark reminder that each source, whether it's a Black Book or flight logs, has its own specific scope and limitations. Our aim here is just to accurately present the data that intersects, the cross-referenced information. We're not trying to interpret implications beyond what the sources directly state about that correlation.
Absolutely. Stick to the data. So let's summarize. Today, we successfully navigated a pretty fascinating cross-referencing challenge. We've given you a clear, direct answer drawn exclusively from the specific public sources you asked about: the Epstein Black Book PDF and the known Lolita Express's flight logs.
And it's worth saying again, please remember, this deep dive focused strictly on where those two distinct data sets overlap. It is absolutely crucial to understand that being present in one source, or even both, does not in itself imply any guilt or specific actions beyond what's actually documented in those records themselves. We're simply bringing together publicly available pieces of information to provide clarity on that specific intersection.
Right, a clarification based solely on the documents provided and public record. Now, as you reflect on this information, here's something to think about, a sort of provocative thought, perhaps. In this age where there's just an unprecedented amount of information available, how does this kind of meticulous cross-referencing of public data, the phone books and flight logs, how does it potentially reshape our understanding of influence and association, maybe in ways that traditional reporting alone might not capture? And maybe more importantly, what responsibility does that place on all of us as informed citizens to not just seek out this information, but to critically understand these documented connections?